Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because what you're about to hear sounds less like a family drama and more like a Netflix crime special that accidentally went live on Instagram. King Harris.
Gone.
Vanished. No calls. No posts. No sightings. For 48 straight hours. And the only thing left behind? One single voice note that allegedly exposed everything. The baby, the girlfriend, the family, all trapped in one messy, emotional, chaotic audio file. Let me ask you something. If your life was perfect, would you just disappear? If everything was family over everything, would your family not know where you are? And if nothing shady was going on, why does one voice note sound like a whole crime documentary in under 2 minutes? The internet didn't just react. It exploded. Blogs lit up. DMs went crazy. Group chats turned into FBI headquarters. And suddenly everyone had the same question on their mind. What is King Harris hiding, and who pressed record? Because this wasn't just emotional. This sounded like someone knew too much. And once you hear what was allegedly said in that voice note, you'll understand why people are whispering one word: setup. Ladies and gentlemen, the story really starts the moment King Harris didn't show up where everybody expected him to. No posts. No stories. No flexing. No voice. Nothing. And when someone like King just goes silent like your phone on airplane mode, people don't assume vacation. They assume trouble. Because silence from loud people is never peaceful. It's loud in another way. It's the kind of loud that makes people lean closer to their phones as if the screen itself might start snitching. 1 hour turns into 6. 6 turns into a night. That night turns into 2 full days, and by that time, the whispers are already screaming. His girl starts moving weird online. Friends are sending you good messages with no reply. And the family? The family goes from quiet to unusually quiet, which is always the worst kind. Because when famous families go silent, it's not privacy. It's damage control loading. By the time the blogs caught on, everybody realized something was wrong. This wasn't a taking a break situation. This was a full-on where is he situation. And the craziest part? Nobody could agree on one single story. One camp said King was just cooling off, tired of the drama. Another camp said he was locked in some secret argument that went left fast. A third group swore he had been spotted in some random city, hoodie over his face like a spy movie extra, trying to disappear in plain sight. But the more people talked, the more it started sounding like a cartoon mystery with real-life consequences. Because the details kept clashing. And when details clash, it means somebody's lying. Or everybody is. Then came the whispers about the baby. And whenever kids get brought into a situation, everything stops being entertainment and starts being serious. People weren't just gossiping anymore. They were worried. Because you can argue about money, fame, clout, and ego all day. But once a child gets involved, the room temperature changes. Suddenly the jokes slow down. Suddenly the memes feel wrong. And suddenly the voice note starts floating around like some forbidden audio file everyone is scared to play but can't delete. Because allegedly, that one audio message tied everything together like the missing puzzle piece nobody asked for. People claimed the voice note wasn't just emotional. It was desperate. It wasn't just yelling. It was cracking in the voice type stuff. The kind where you can hear somebody trying not to cry. The kind where every pause feels heavier than the words. And the kind where you know something happened before recording that moment. Something bad. Something big. Something that didn't just start that day. According to the so-called people close to the situation, aka that one friend of a friend who suddenly becomes an expert overnight, King wasn't just missing. He was moving different even before the disappearance. Mood swings. Short replies. Random anger. Long nights out. And that's when people started connecting invisible dots like professional conspiracy artists. They said he had been stressed for weeks. Fighting about stuff he never used to fight about. Snapping over small things. Acting like someone carrying a secret that kept getting heavier every time he opened Instagram. And then there were the rumors about money. You already know how this goes. Fame plus family plus finances equals chaos with a Wi-Fi connection. Some folks claimed money was going missing. Not broke missing. Rich people missing. The kind that doesn't vanish. The kind that's supposed to be sitting somewhere safe, and suddenly isn't. And when anyone even whispered that part, the internet's ear stood up. Because money mysteries are everybody's favorite true crime genre. But the wildest theory? The one that went viral faster than the flu? The idea that King didn't disappear, he escaped. And escape is a strong word. Because you don't escape when everything is fine. You disappear when something is chasing you. That's what people said, at least. That something in his life had gotten too big, too public, too ugly. And instead of arguing in front of a camera, he allegedly chose silence. Then the rumors crept closer to home. Toward the family. People claimed there were arguments nobody ever saw. Decisions being made behind closed doors. Pressure coming from all sides like a bad interview with life. Some folks even said King felt stuck between being a son, being a father, and being himself. And when those three things pull in different directions, somebody always snaps in half emotionally. Now, let's talk about the girlfriend. Because if there's one thing the internet can spot from miles away, it's a woman moving like she's been emotionally robbed. Her posts didn't add up. 1 hour she was cryptic. Next hour she was emotional. Then calm. Then random. It looked like someone trying to pretend everything was fine while holding in a scream. And people noticed every detail. Her tone. Her captions. Her silence. Her sudden activity. It didn't look natural. It looked forced. Like someone trying to look normal while internally panicking. And then came the baby angle. Allegedly, the child was the center of all of it. Some claimed King was being kept away. Others said he stepped away himself. And then another group claimed the truth was somewhere in the middle with a thick layer of lies on top. Either way, the baby went from being a blessing to being a battlefield in public conversation. And that's when fans stopped just watching. They started picking sides. Because the internet never listens. It judges. The timelines didn't help either. One post showed him here. A fan claimed he was there. Another account said they saw him at a place he was definitely not at according to somebody else. And before long, King wasn't just missing. He had been everywhere. Which usually means he's nowhere anybody can prove. Then came the moment everybody had been waiting for. The moment that would either calm everything down or set the whole thing on fire. The voice note. The audio that allegedly captured the truth hidden behind all the silence. And the thing is, nobody even agreed on what was in it. Some said it was an argument. Others said it was emotional. Some said it sounded like a plea. Others claimed it sounded like a threat. One thing was consistent though. Everyone agreed it didn't sound normal. It didn't sound like a casual voice message. It sounded like a breaking point. People who claimed to have heard it described the voice as tired, shaky, angry, and soft at the same time. That weird emotional mix where someone doesn't know whether they want to scream or give up. And that's when everybody realized whatever happened didn't start with King disappearing. It built up quietly. It piled up privately. And then it overflowed all at once. And just as fans were about to process that, a new rumor dropped. One that made the entire situation feel less like drama and more like danger. A rumor that somebody didn't want that voice note out there at all. That it wasn't meant for the internet. That it escaped by accident or by betrayal. And once that rumor hit, the conversation changed overnight. Because now this wasn't just a family problem. It was an exposure problem. Which brings us to the big question nobody could stop asking. Who sent it? Who leaked it? And who had something to gain from letting the world hear something that was never meant to be public? And in the middle of all those questions, King was still gone. Silent. Invisible. Unreachable. Like a ghost in his own story. By the time the second day passed, people weren't just worried anymore. They were angry. Because silence in the internet age feels like an insult. And when celebrities go missing emotionally, fans take it personally. They demanded answers from the family, from the girlfriend, from anyone with a keyboard and a connection. But no one could give a real answer. Only more rumors, more theories, more emotional chaos. And that's when it hit everybody this wasn't a random disappearance. This felt planned, or at least triggered. Something caused this. Something big enough to make someone disappear into the quiet. And until King spoke for himself, the story wasn't just unfinished. It was dangerous. Because when truth doesn't speak, lies grab the mic. And the lies were getting louder by the hour. And just when people thought it couldn't get messier, new names started quietly popping up behind the scenes, new screenshots began surfacing in private, and one anonymous message hinted that the voice note didn't even tell half the story. It was only the beginning. And the moment those words hit the internet, the story went from messy to dangerous. Because when someone says that voice note wasn't even the whole story, what they're really saying is there's a second layer nobody's ready for. And that's exactly where things exploded. Screenshots started appearing. Burner accounts began speaking in riddles. People who never posted a thing suddenly had threads. Long ones. And all of them told the same story in different fonts. King didn't just go missing. He was running from something he couldn't talk about. According to a so-called inside source, there were conversations happening before the disappearance that were never meant to leave private chats. Arguments over custody, over money, over control. And when you mix fame, family, and pressure, you don't get peace, you get power plays. People whispered about meetings that happened late at night, about conversations that felt more like negotiations than family talk, about decisions being made without King even knowing they were happening. And suddenly the narrative flipped. This wasn't just a young man being dramatic. This was allegedly a young man feeling cornered. The anonymous accounts claimed King felt boxed in from every direction. Family expectations on one side, public image on the other, and a relationship that allegedly stopped feeling safe emotionally a long time ago. They said every move he made was being watched, judged, and reported back to someone else like he was living inside his own group chat without admin rights. And that pressure? That kind of pressure doesn't make you argue. It makes you disappear. Then came the financial talk. Not broke talk. Ownership talk. Control talk. Who really decides where the money goes? Type talk. Rumors flew that money tied to baby support, brand deals, and even family projects had become a silent battlefield. No posts. No captions. Just private accounting mixed with public smiles. And anyone who's been through that type of situation will tell you, money arguments never start with money. They start with power. One fake, leaked DMs account claimed King had been told he should fall back and let other people handle his narrative, his image, his moves, his reputation. But instead of feeling protected, he allegedly felt erased. Like he was becoming a character in a story he didn't write. Like he wasn't the lead anymore, just a name people argued about. And when the voice note finally leaked in parts, not officially, not cleanly, but like someone accidentally spilled a drink on the internet, people swore they could hear everything. A pause here, a breath there, a voice that sounded tired of explaining itself. A tone you only hear when someone realizes talking isn't fixing anything anymore. The clip didn't sound staged. It didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded raw. Too raw for clout. Some listeners claimed you could hear anger underneath the sadness. Not yelling anger. Quiet anger. The kind that lives behind the eyes. The kind that comes from realizing you've been misunderstood long enough to stop trying to be understood. And that kind of anger? That's when people make decisions in silence. Then there were the reactions. Fans picked teams like it was a sport. Half blamed the girlfriend. Half blamed the family. A few blamed King. And the rest just wanted him back online, so they could pretend this whole thing was entertainment again. But the more conspiracies grew, the more worried some people became. Because something about this didn't feel like drama anymore. It felt like damage. One viral post claimed King had tried to reach out before vanishing, and nobody listened. Another claimed he was silenced. A third claimed he silenced himself before others could. Nobody knew what was real. But what everybody knew was that something broke behind the scenes long before it showed up on screen. And then came the biggest twist, a new burner account claiming to be someone who sat in the room during one of the arguments. The post didn't name anyone. It didn't give dates. But it described a scene so specific people got chills. A table, a phone buzzing, a raised voice, someone crying, someone refusing to make eye contact. And King allegedly sitting there, quiet according to the story, while everyone else talked about him like he wasn't even there. That post went viral. Because people aren't dumb. When details feel real, reality catches on quicker than lies. And after that, public sympathy shifted. King stopped looking reckless and started looking exhausted. And what about the baby? That's where the theories got darker. Some claimed he was afraid of losing his child emotionally before legally. Others said he feared being painted as the villain before he even had a chance to speak. And some went further, saying King disappeared not to avoid responsibility, but to protect the one thing he couldn't fight publicly over. Then came the fake legal whispers. Quiet lawyers. Emergency paperwork. Private arrangements. Suddenly, everyone was playing attorney in comments. People swore things were happening behind the scenes that the public wasn't supposed to know yet. And in the internet world, not supposed to know is an invitation. The girlfriend became the internet's main suspect. Her friends started clapping back without saying anything. Her posts became side-eyed. Not because she said something, but because she didn't. Silence started looking guilty. And in social media, silence is a crime. The family became the other suspect. And every old video suddenly had new meaning. Every laugh looked fake. Every birthday post felt forced. The internet rewrote history in real time. Old moments turned into red flags. Normal arguments became evidence. And suddenly nobody was innocent anymore. And King? Still gone. No explanation. No update. No, I'm okay. Just complete digital disappearance in a world where nobody truly disappears unless they mean to. Then came the final fake leak before everything went nuclear, a supposed message from someone close enough to touch the situation but far enough to stay hidden. The message said one thing that changed the tone forever. He didn't disappear to be dramatic. He disappeared because he finally realized talking was useless. Once that line went viral, the story stopped being fun for some people. Because now it sounded like emotional survival. And emotional survival isn't trending content. It's real life. Fans started wondering not just where King was, but if he was okay. Paranoia spread. Somebody said he was being watched. Somebody else said he was safe, but cut off. One person even claimed he had changed numbers. And whether any of it was true didn't matter anymore. The fact that it sounded believable is what scared people. By the end of the second day, the internet wasn't just asking where King went. It was asking why the people around him weren't moving any closer to answers. And when the people closest to you go quiet too, that's when things feel off. Which leads to the scariest part of all. What if King didn't just disappear from the internet? What if he emotionally disconnected from everyone first? Because you don't vanish overnight by accident. You check out in pieces. You stop answering in energy. You stop reacting in real time. You go quiet before you go gone. And according to every fake insider across the net, King had been quietly leaving long before anybody noticed. And just when the internet seemed ready to accept that he might not come back the same person, a new rumor started whispering its way into timelines. A rumor that said King wasn't alone during those 48 hours. A rumor that said someone else was with him. Not a friend, not an enemy, someone unexpected. And that rumor? That's when everything really caught fire. And that's when the internet officially lost its mind. Because the idea that King wasn't alone during those 48 hours changed the whole story from missing celebrity to hidden chapter. People weren't just asking where he was anymore. They were asking who he trusted enough to disappear with. And when the rumor mill added one dangerous word, family adjacent, the temperature online went straight to crisis mode. According to the latest anonymous insider, King had allegedly been seen with someone nobody expected. Not his girl. Not one of his friends. And not someone the public had ever linked to him romantically. The post didn't drop a name. It didn't need to, because the clues were enough. People dug through old photos, stories, captions, like detectives with too much internet and not enough sleep. And once fans think they recognize a pattern, the pattern becomes law. Suddenly, one blurry photo from months ago went viral again. A shadow in the background. A reflection in a car window. A voice in an old video nobody paid attention to at the time. The internet rewatched everything at quarter speed with conspiracy in their eyes. And before long, timelines were being built like crime boards. Red string, circles, arrows, everything. One account claimed King didn't disappear to hide. He disappeared to think, to breathe,
To decide.
to finally choose one life, not juggle three. Another account said King had been talking about leaving everything behind for a while. Not rap, not fame, not even family. Just a clean break from constant noise, from expectations, from being everyone's headline but nobody's human. That rumor hit hard because it didn't sound dramatic. It sounded tired. And tired doesn't lie. Then the stories got darker again. A different burner account said King didn't leave to escape drama. He left to escape control. Control of time. Control of money. Control of his image. Control of his future. They said every move he made was becoming someone else's decision. And at some point, he allegedly realized he wasn't living, he was being managed. And nobody wants to wake up one day realizing their life is a content plan. Meanwhile, the girlfriend's side of the internet got louder. Her friends posted cryptic messages that made things worse instead of better. Stuff about truth coming soon. About betrayal hurts different when it's private. About don't believe everything until you hear both sides. But no side was saying anything directly, which only added fuel. Fans said she looked different. Her energy changed. Her eyes looked sad in recent posts. And when the internet plays body language detective, you might as well bring popcorn because nothing survives interpretation. A smile meant pain. A blink meant lying. A caption with one emoji meant a secret. Then came the alleged second audio. Not leaked. Not verified. Just whispered. According to a few accounts, there was another voice message out there, and nobody dared to share it. Not because it was illegal, but because it was allegedly emotional enough to break alliances. People said it should never go public. Others said that's exactly why it would, because nothing travels faster than what wasn't supposed to exist. Some claimed the second clip revealed King crying. Others said it was the girlfriend. Another group claimed it was family arguing softly, like real damage sounds. One person even said it sounded like the end of something not policy-wise emotionally. And then came the silence again. No new posts. No updates. No confirmation. Just darkness where a voice used to be. By the third day, fans were exhausted. Not entertained. Not dramatic. Exhausted. Because at some point, you stop watching a story like a show and start watching it like a friend's pain. And that's when people suddenly realize, this isn't funny. This is real. People started posting messages telling King they loved him, just in case. Others told him to stay strong, even though he never said he wasn't. Some even apologized on behalf of the internet. Because once you're gone long enough, people don't just miss you, they regret how they treated your presence. And when things were at their quietest, one single post appeared. No caption. No explanation. Just a dark screen with one line of white text. I wasn't lost. I was finding air. That was it. No verified account. No blue check. Just that phrase. And the internet froze. Some said it wasn't him. Some swore it had to be. Others said it didn't matter. Because if that sentence didn't sound like King, it sounded like someone who finally stopped screaming and started breathing. After that, no new clues dropped. No voice notes. No selfies. No locations. Just the echo of speculation slowly fading into worry. And that's where this story leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Because in every other internet scandal, eventually someone goes live. Someone explains. Someone apologizes. Someone spins the story. But not here. No one cleaned this up. No one packaged this better. No one ended it properly. Which makes it scarier. Because when problems don't end clean, they usually don't end well. So here's the real question nobody wants to ask out loud. What if King Harris didn't disappear from social media? What if he disappeared from emotional survival mode? What if those 48 hours weren't a break? What if they were the moment his life split into before and after? Before the pressure. Before the control. Before the voice notes. Before the internet. And after whatever decision he made that night changed him forever. Because sometimes people don't change overnight. Sometimes they break quietly and rebuild somewhere nobody can see. So maybe King didn't vanish. Maybe he finally chose himself. And that is a kind of disappearance nobody prepares you for. Because it doesn't look like chaos. It looks like silence. And the loudest stories are always the ones that end without sound. So now it's on you. You've heard the theories. You've heard the whispers. You've heard the silence. But silence is never empty. It's full of answers people are scared to admit. So let me ask you straight. Do you believe King Harris disappeared because he wanted peace, or because peace was taken from him? Was this a young man finally choosing himself? Or was this someone being quietly pushed out of his own life? Because one thing is clear, people don't vanish when everything is fine. They vanish when everything feels impossible. And the truth is, the internet moves on fast, but real pain doesn't. Somewhere out there, King is carrying a version of this story nobody else gets to tell. Somewhere out there, there are conversations that never went public. Somewhere out there, there's a truth we're not ready for yet. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly why it hasn't come out. So now it's your turn to speak. Do you think this whole thing was an emotional breakdown, a family war, or something even deeper? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think really happened during those 48 hours. If you felt this story, don't just watch it. Stand inside it. Like this video if you believe King deserves peace. Subscribe if you believe there's more truth waiting to surface. And turn on notifications, because stories like this don't end, they evolve. And the moment King speaks again, trust me, the internet will feel it. This isn't just drama. This is a life caught between noise and silence. And until the truth finally steps forward, we'll be right here, watching, listening, waiting.